Hey, thanks for joining us here on this Thursday, Cinco de Mayo, 5th of May here on 9 News Plus. I'm Meteorologist Chris Bianchi with a detailed look at your Colorado weather forecast, which finally is going to feature more in the way of sunshine, and it finally feels like we actually deserve it after 4 straight days of measurable rainfall here in Denver. Much needed. We're happy to get it, but now we are entering into a prolonged dry and warm stretch for us here throughout eastern Colorado, and really statewide, with only a few minor chances for rain over the next few days. But we do unfortunately have to talk about some more fire danger probably as we get into the weekend and the early part of next week. Now, right now here over Denver, still a little leftover cloud cover from our departing storm system. That's what you're seeing overhead, but those clouds gradually dissipating. We did have some morning patchy fog and some low clouds earlier on this morning. I could see some of those on my run this morning where between about 6 and 8 a.m. we did have, again, a fair bit of low cloud cover here in Denver. That is over and done with, but in the mountains, it's a little bit of a different story. When you're talking about the mountains, when you get that moisture into little valleys and into the mountains, it's very hard to mix out. It usually takes an extra day for the mountains to see that snow and that precipitation come to an end in that part of the state. And again, that's because when you get moisture, kind of think about pouring water into when you get water into a puddle, it sometimes takes a little extra time for that water to evaporate as opposed to water that's just on ground, just because that moisture is trapped into that little valley, and therefore it takes a little bit more time to mix it on out. So that's why up at the Eisenhower Tunnel, a little bit of light snow does continue to fall, but that will gradually dissipate as we head through the rest of your Thursday. Now, as that cloud cover departs and a few leftover rain showers along the eastern plains as well, that'll give way to a gorgeous, and I mean fantastic, Thursday afternoon. So if you've got some of those Cinco de Mayo plans, and maybe those will be outdoors, looks a-okay later on this afternoon. That's thanks again to our departing storm system. This is the one that led to several tornadoes late last night in parts of Texas and Oklahoma. And that system now spinning its way off to the east. Tornado watch is once again up for parts of Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri. That's been a part of the country that's been hit fairly hard here over the last few weeks in terms of severe weather. But here in Colorado, we've been dodging really not only severe weather, but for the most part, we've been dodging any sort of rain or snow over the last 6 to 7 weeks. And that trend will start once again for us. Starting today, as I mentioned, then as we get into your day tomorrow, it warms up even more with a big ridge of high pressure that builds in overhead. But a quick look back in terms of what we saw. In Denver, we picked up about an inch of total rainfall over the last 4 days. Much needed, great news. Happy to pass that along here, as we've now picked up about 4 inches of rain since the start of the year. That is about a quarter inch above our year-to-date average. And again, this most recent rain events starting back on Sunday night and lasting through last night, badly, desperately needed, as we were so dry in April, our 3rd driest April on record in Denver officially, and we barely escaped our driest April on record. But once again, we are talking about we got some needed rainfall. That said, it didn't put much of a dent into the drought, as most of the state right now looking at either moderate, severe, or extreme drought conditions, and about 90% of the state at this point is under some form of drought. So unfortunately, those drought conditions do continue, despite the fact that we did get some beneficial moisture this week. And we'll go back to the drought monitor for 1 second, though. Make one minor note, is the drought monitor data goes through Tuesday afternoon. So what you're seeing here on this map, these sorts of categorizations, that does not include yesterday's rain and snow, which we did see in some parts of the state, some pretty decent rain and snow. So for what it's worth, this doesn't include everything that we got, but it includes most of this week's rain and snow. Now let's focus on the good news, which will be some very nice weather, starting with rising temperatures. Hey, Denver, we have not hit 60 degrees, believe it or not, since Sunday, which is a little weird considering that in early May, our average high is around 70 degrees. So for us to be stuck in the 40s and 50s for 4+ days is a little bit unusual, but that will change later on this afternoon. Already a few spots on the eastern plains above 60 degrees with those gradually clearing skies. Just beautiful. Mother Nature giving us a deserved bit of sunshine and warmer temperatures. Again, upper 60s with that high May sun angle. It'll feel way better than that, with those temperatures approaching 70 degrees later on this afternoon. So again, take a look at those kind of hour-by-hour forecasts. There's a slight chance for a shower late tonight. I don't think we see anything here in Denver, but the thing to watch for will be that increased sunshine as we get to about 3, 4, 5 o'clock. And again, I know it is Cinco de Mayo, so there's a lot of you that might be planning on some of those outdoor activities. And if you are, it looks great for them. I would say it's picture perfect Southern California weather, right, Danielle? This is SoCal weather. Danielle Grant, Danielle's been here for 9+ years, but a San Diego native originally, and so I imagine this reminds Danielle a little bit of her home. So, forecast highs for today, 60s and 70s on that minor tangent for us here along the eastern plains. Mountains, 50s and 60s. What you're looking at, right around where we should be for this time. You're in a few spots, maybe a degree or two below the norm, but nothing too wild about what you're looking at out that way. Now, we do have a little bit of cloud cover tonight, and that'll keep those lows tonight fairly mild and fairly comfortable. So once again, if those afternoon, evening activities extend into the nighttime hours a little bit, it won't be too bad out there. You'll certainly need a sweatshirt or a light jacket, but lows do drop into the upper 40s for us this evening, and that will mean, again, that will be a little bit above average in terms of those low temperatures this evening. A few spots may not drop below 50 degrees on the eastern plains, so again, a fairly mild evening all in all. Then as we head into your day tomorrow, we're going to spike temperatures by about 10 degrees. That's thanks to a building ridge of high pressure, and that will mean highs right around 80 degrees for your Friday, May the 6th, and those temperatures about 10 degrees above the norm for this time of year. It will be a bit breezier tomorrow. I know we're all a little scarred from April in terms of wind and talking about that. Unfortunately, that windy, dry pattern does return, but tomorrow, high temperature around 80 degrees. That will be accompanied by some, I would say, more breezy conditions. It's not a full-on windy day, but it is a bit breezy. You'll notice the wind out there tomorrow afternoon in particular. But again, not that bad. 80 degrees for high temperature. And again, we're going to have sunny skies building on in. We got dry weather working its way on in from the west. Our next storm system stays well off to our north, and that means we're going to be talking about very warm temperatures, not only for your Friday and your Saturday, but that will last through really the early part of next week as well. And a little concerned here, folks, about some increased fire danger as we get into the weekend and early next week. It does look like we do get a couple of rounds of some windier weather. We'll have some intermittent weak cold fronts drop on through. Maybe a slight chance for a shower on your Sunday. A few of the computer models trying to spit out a little bit of rain for us on your Sunday, but if we do get any rainfall, it won't be any sort of significant precipitation like what we saw over the last few days. It would just be a little bit of light stuff for us. And then Monday and Tuesday, we warm back up again. We'll be back in the 80s. But again, I'll just say this. Don't want to alarm us too much considering the amount of fire danger we've been through over the last few months. Well, unfortunately, as we get into the weekend early next week, we're going to have to keep a close eye on some increased fire dangers. Yeah, we are going to be looking at that potential, especially in southern parts of Colorado for the weekend and into the early part of the next week. In the meantime, let's focus on the positive here, which is we got a lot of sunshine. We got some warm temperatures for your day today, even warmer for tomorrow, and it's certainly going to feel like spring and May out there with highs into the mid-80s by your Saturday. So hopefully you can get outside and enjoy some of this warmer and sunnier weather. Meteorologist Danielle Grant will have an update coming up at 9 News at noon, and Chief Meteorologist Kathy Saban is in at 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10 on the 9 News Family Networks. Have a great rest of your day. I'm Meteorologist Chris Bianchi, and thanks again for joining us here on 9 News Plus.